Yeah, we seem to have a bit of a leak. Gotta figure out how to get that whole awning redone, I think. Can't really tell if any water's coming out of that or not. Well, we're getting enough rain at the moment. It's been going for a little while. Had to start the pool pump, so this hose coming out of there, that's draining the pool a little bit. It was about to overflow. It had just crusted over from the last rain where the skimmer could intake, so it was above that. So it was about time. But yeah, we're getting a ton of rain out here lately. Of course, it is a rainy season, so that's good. I still got to figure out what's going on with this rain gutter. It seems to be dumping more water out the end than going down the rain gutter itself. So I think it just got clogged again. But I'll look at that maybe when it's a little drier. And apparently the batteries, I'm assuming, for the Ryobi showed up, so I should be able to replace those and hopefully get some good lawn mowing done. And it might rain, might not, we'll see. Alright, so with just 21 hours on my Ryobi zero-turn lead-acid battery version lawnmower, Ryobi has sent me free of charge a new set of batteries. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get those installed. I think I showed a little clip earlier, but they just wasn't here, and it's two pallets, one mostly broken and one mostly together, showed up, and so I got to break the tabs off of those. No instructions, it doesn't look like, so I'll have to wing it and figure it out. I think they're all located under the seat, but we'll get to that and we'll figure it out. Well, I will say these boxes are massively heavy and pretty torn up. We'll see once we get them unpackaged if they're damaged. Well, I will say the shipping company that they used to ship these did not take very good care of the boxes. The box that this one was in is pretty torn up. I threw it over there on the pallet. The pallet that it was sitting on, I guess it took 2 pallets for them to handle this. It broke through one, they put it on another one. And these other boxes look kind of wonky, but we'll get them unboxed and see how this goes. So these are AGM Deep Cycle batteries, LDC12 115G31. So they're a Group 31 battery and 12 volt. 28 ampere each. Anyway, here we go. Alright, if I remember right, under the seat here is where the battery pack is. So it looks like that bracket has to come out. And probably most of the panel. Let me Google this and see if I can find somebody who's done this already, and come back to this, because it looks like I've got to tear out most of the panels on the upper half of this and go from there. Would hate to take apart more parts than I need to, but yeah, let's do a quick YouTube search. Alright, there's a few videos out there that go step by step on how to get this battery pack out in a model similar to this one I found. but it seems pretty straightforward. I'm glad I did watch a video. This whole panel here comes off, and there's some bolts that hold the tray in, take the rear bumper off, and then this tray basically slides out. There's a couple wires, charge controller, and probably voltage sensors and things that are connected in little harnesses. But that should be pretty easy. Just get all those panels off, and then we'll slide the pack out and see how that goes. So I won't bore you with all those components, but there were some gotchas, like there's a hook on this, you pull it down instead of trying to yank it straight out, which is weird because you would think since it was bolts that there wouldn't be any clips, but apparently there are. But anyway, so just be careful as you take this panel off, take your time, and it should go well. Alright, yeah, I know I skipped a whole bunch of steps, but new batteries are in, old batteries are over there. I'm standing in the fan because I'm very, very, very warm. But yeah, tested the batteries. These actually have a higher voltage than the new ones that I put in. I'll throw on a charge and see how that turns out. Well, I got the batteries in the Ryobi zero turn. As I said, they're there, so that's charging. Hopefully, let's see if this guy's all charged. I'm going to unplug it. And then let's switch his key on. See where he reads. The little battery indicator isn't blinking. So he's fully charged. So once things dry, we get a lot of dew at night. I'll go ahead and try and mow the backyard. I don't know what I'm going to do with these batteries. Thought about reusing them or checking them to see if maybe there's something I could do to get them working better again. Maybe the electrolyte's low or something. I don't know. But these busted up pallets, I got to get rid of these. So I figure the easiest way to deal with those is put them on the burn pile. So I'm going to get that done and get some regular work done at my regular day job and see if I can work in getting some lawns mowed. Right on cue. There's Thor. Oh, you're right. I did miss a board. We can probably just throw that one in the trash. Oops. Did you want to go inside again? Is that what you're telling me? Well, lead the way. You're looking for snacks, I bet, aren't you? Yeah? Yeah, snacks? Okay. Off you go. Yeah, one of our friends keeping the mouse population down. Black racer. He is fast. Probably why they call him a black racer. Looks like a pretty good sized one. Most of the ones I see around here are babies. But he's a cruising. Hi. He's like, I'm going to try and get away from you. Stop following me. Oh, you think you can hide in the grass? Oh, there's two of them. So his buddy's over there. I wonder if they're mates. That's different. I don't think I've ever... I hear one of them rattling his tail. But he is not a rattlesnake. But he's trying to scare us off like that. That was pretty cool. I wonder if their den is up in here somewhere. But I've never seen one imitate a rattlesnake before. Well, I had to take a break. Sitting here on the Ryobi, doing its test drive. Ooh, hi, butterfly. And there's a fawn. I don't see Mom around anywhere. So I'm not sure Fawn's going to know how to deal with me. Fawn just heard a car moving. It's like, what's that? Mom may have run off. And oh, there she goes. Not knowing what to do. Oh, I can't pan that quick. There we go. Sun's in behind me too, so it's kind of hard for me to see my screen. There's the fawn. His way out is right there next to that post. So there he goes. Off. Go find Mom. Probably across the street there somewhere. Anyway, it's getting warm with me sitting still, so I'm going to go back to mowing. I know it's noisy. I'm going to see if I can waving his butt out there. Out there. Let's see if he'll stay there. A little bit. But you can see him. He's been half in, half out the whole time I've been mowing. But there's our front yard gopher tortoise. Just enjoying the cool air, I'm guessing. So I've seen a couple of videos trying to figure out how to level some of the, well, low spots in my yard, and some of them are so cute, and I've probably chuckled at more of them because the issues that they face are way different than what I face here on a larger property, especially one that's gone through some evolutions with trees and removals and owners and all kinds of things. So right now I'm working on this pile. So at one point there was a large forest fire on this property, and they brought in a bulldozer, and it came through and it scraped and had its own set of issues that it made. But part of it was piling up this dirt, and there's a bunch of debris and garbage and, well, stuff in that. So what I've been doing is I've got a hole, and I know it's a hole in the yard and it's uneven because when I drive the tractor through it, it noses down and then it noses up and then it flattens out, right? So you're like, this is a hole. So I've got these buckets, and because there's so much debris, I'm going through it bucket at a time, but just pulling out the roots and the palmetto and the other junk that would just make it hard to smooth out. And it's everything here in Florida is sand, which is way different than what I've got in California. And yeah, that's my burn pile. Hopefully that'll be tomorrow's job. But what I've been working with is over about here in the yard is where that really low spot was, or is. And I put 2 bucketfuls in just that one little spot. I'm probably going to have to put 2 or 3 more bucketfuls in there, but I've got to go through the process of cleaning the sand. The sand and dirt and whatnot fill out here is about $500 a load, and that gets you about 10 cubic yards. In that space right there, I probably got, I don't know, 6 cubic yards at least, but it's got junk in it. So should I pay $500, $600 to have somebody bring some out that doesn't have junk in it, or should I spend a couple hours here and there and filter through it? I used the backhoe a little bit on some of what was growing. So this was all overgrown. What you see here in the palmetto, this very well may be another pile of dirt. I don't know. I just haven't gone to uncover it yet. But what I pulled out with the backhoe was kind of this stuff in here, just off the top, so I could clear a good chunk of it out. But there's still some of that because a fire bulldozer came through and just peeled up whatever was around. So trying to filter through that, make some good clean fill dirt. But I guess long story short is, depending on what kind of lawn you're trying to level, may take a little bit different. I mean, I see people out saying, oh, you spray an even 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 inch of sand over the whole yard, and then you use a land plane or something like that and drag it and flatten it out. I'm like, dude, I got spots that are 6 inches low and others that are 6 inches high. And I don't really want to go through and regrade the whole thing, but I would like to be able to drive the lawnmower and the tractor through the yard without being thrown out of the seat or without it jerking around so that I lose whatever's in my bucket or grapple. So that's where I'm at right now, and it's a lot of fun. I'm going to make it level. Here's kind of where I'm working. Wow, that bucket makes a big shadow, doesn't it? So I'll basically, because I've got so much junk in this sand, and I'm an old guy and I don't want to have to bend over and pick the stuff out or rake it out later. I'm just with a pair of gloves kind of sifting through this, and as I do, letting it fall out of the bucket and then grabbing the twigs and roots and things and just setting them aside. And once I get the bucket empty, then I'll grab all that stuff, throw it back in the bucket, and haul it over to the burn pile and start the cycle over. But I think, I mean, it's really kind of hard to tell here unless I get down low. Even then it's tough. But right about where the shadow of the bucket is about the lowest spot of that hole. And I still probably need about, 3 more buckets. And then where that bare spot is, right up about there, there's another low spot. And it's like, do I dig up the high spots? And I don't need a flat lawn. I don't need a plain lawn. This area here has kind of got a dip to it, but it's just a gentle slope up and a gentle slope down. I can mow that. It doesn't bug me. It's when the holes are small that it really tends to throw the lawnmower around quite a bit. And there's a few other holes in the lawn. I'll start as I can find dirt around, and I've got quite a bit. And I'll go ahead and start filling those. But it's a process. Well, I'd like to be filming the whole process here, but even the short clips I've got now, it's about 96 degrees outside right now here in Florida. It's actually a pretty nice day, although there's not a lot of clouds, so there's no shade today. But yeah, so that's about half a cubic yard between those two. That bucket, that was one bucket there after I filtered it, and I'm not filling it. That one wasn't probably as full as that bucket, just so I have some room to filter through things. But as I get closer to the bottom of this pile, I've had less junk to move. But so there's probably a good 2 to 3 cubic yards that I will have put into this space, to give you an idea, comparing it to the other guys with their ½ inch of sand over the whole yard in the land plane. Yeah, this is like a good part of a dump truck that it would take to do this one and that one over there, just to get them a little bit more level. But anyway, keep trekking on. So what I do is I will see if I can get a shot of this without. I'll just grab through some of this and be knocking it down, and then I'll see, little bits of something, and I'll filter through those and throw those aside. But this is all, I already kind of went through it a little bit over by the fire pit. But this stuff here, if I can get it out and just set it aside, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, that scoop was actually pretty clean. So that's what I threw aside and picked back up. So it'll go on the burn pile, not a huge bit. And looking like maybe a good solid full scoop, maybe a scoop and a quarter. So I will come back and level that out a little bit. I think I'll call this area good. It'll still have a little bit of a dip, but it won't make my tractor go down and up like it was before. I know. Sorry, I just made somebody sick, I think. Anyway, so yeah, good times. I certainly will say I love this Kubota. It's been like the Swiss Army knife of doing just about anything and everything around here. So let me get this leveled out and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. All right, I know I just talked about it being about 94, 95 degrees. It's getting a little bit on the overcast-ish side, and I'm standing in the shade of, I think, a tree. Yeah, the pine tree now. But how do I stay cool? Well, here's one little Ryobi clip-on fan. I can set that up, point it right at me, and off it goes. Keeps me a little bit cooler. This is a liter Camelback bottle. Of course, they're not a sponsor. No big deal. But 2 of those if I'm out working. I know that if I've drank 2 of those, that I should probably at least take a break, and I'll go through about 1 of those if I'm working hard, an hour, so maybe 2 hours. The other indicator, a little bit of a gross factor, but if I sweat through my shirt, I'm done. So I need to make sure that I'm taking a little bit of a break, making sure I'm not sweating too much. And if I am, then I know if I've sweat through my shirt that it's probably a good point that I've worked hard and I need to take a little bit of a break. So, yeah, it's real. I mean, this is keeping yourself healthy. I've talked to other folks here in Florida, and they've talked of getting heat stroke and so forth. And I know I get along a little bit better in the heat than most, but I think part of that trick is lots of water. One of the guys who was out here helping out in the yard the other week, he said, yeah, I drink lots of fluids, and he drank like a quart after 4 hours out here. And I'm like, dude, people underestimate how much fluid they need to be taking in when they're out working in the heat, especially in Florida when it's 90 plus degrees. But the weird thing is that the humidity is way different on how you feel out here. In California, of course, it's a really dry heat. Here it's very wet. So you're sweating, but there's almost always a breeze. The Florida is pretty flat. So, I mean, if a breeze is rolling, it just kind of cruises through. And that helps with the evaporative process. And it really helps keep you cool. But anyway, back to what I was up to. So here we are. I did go back and get another scoop of sand and put it in here. I could probably put 4 more scoops of sand in here and it might bring it up to level. But part of the problem is right about where the tractor's sitting a little bit to the left of it, that's a high spot. So, I mean, do I go through and replane that and dig it and try and level this stuff out? Maybe. I'm not going for a perfect lawn. Like I said, I'm just going for something that doesn't throw me around when I run the lawnmower over it. But yeah, there's a few more low spots. There's one over that away that I really want to fill in. It's just downstream of, it's probably in the leach field or downstream of the leach field from the septic. I don't know if that's where they dug out everything to put the septic tank in. It's definitely a spot that I'd like to level out. When we were touring the property back in August, September, must have been, it had rained a lot and there was standing water over here where the shed is, and there was a lot of standing water over in that area there and a little bit over by the shooting range. So it's a spot I'd like to fill in just so that it's not as big a deal. And again, it's one of those, I mean, you're on quite a tilt when I'm going through mowing. So if it's a little wet, you know, you're kind of sliding in there. So I'd like to level that one out. I've still got quite a bit of dirt or sand. I keep calling it dirt. There's really not any dirt in this stuff. But I've got quite a bit left over here that I can pull from. Sort of made a dent in it, but not a huge dent. Chipped away at it a bit, and as I was getting closer to the bottom, of course, there were less roots going down there. So I should probably keep it up with this pile and keep going. But there's probably, I don't know. I mean, it extends from there, and it's taller than the lighter gray stuff you see there all the way over into there. So there's probably enough here to fill in the hole I'm thinking of over on the other side. It's just going to take me a bit to scrape off all of this is muscadine. This is actually a grape that's growing, and it grows like crazy and consumes everything in its path. But yeah, I probably got enough sand here that I can fill in that other spot over by the leach field and get that done. I'll have to come back through, I think, with the grapple and use it as like a root scraper and pull as much of that old muscadine off of the top there, and then I'll go over there. Let me go over and show you what I'm talking about. On the other side of the lawn, I love that they put in this flag too. Super cool. We had a flag up on the front of our house. I like this one here in the middle of the yard way better. But all right, so yeah, my compost pile. And no, I'm not going to use the compost pile in here. That's we're going to use that for the raised planting beds, which I bought. Now we just got to plant it out. I got to get water line moved over. Don't get me distracted. All right, so the septic tank and leach field, basically in this area here, it's that high spot. But things really come down to a big slope in here. And these just don't show up well on camera, I know. But I just stepped down into a big hole here. So let me bring the camera down if I can. And you can see that it's pretty much level, but as I go down, and this is a pretty deep hole. If I put a 2x4 from that tree over to here, there's probably a foot that this drops in this area. And probably all of that dirt, that sand there would fit in this space and fill it in. And then I think that would be the other major hole that I've got in my yard. There's a few other, like I said, there's some low spots and some high spots, but it's not that big a deal. The other thing, oh, that's right. where the bald cypress are, the bald cypress roots have come up quite a bit. And when I run over that with the mower, I'm clipping the tops of those roots with the blades. Because they're just little knobs that stick out for some reason. It's just the way the bald cypress roots grow. But I'd like to put some more dirt over those. And I've got some roots kind of in the middle of the yard here and there where I should probably plop down a little bit of extra dirt just to cover those roots up so that I'm not driving over and hitting them all the time. But I think with that, mowing in this area would be so much nicer. This gray spot here I could probably scrape down a little bit and put into the hole. This is where a bunch of palmetto was, and in fact this was one of Thor's favorite hiding spots to get away from everything. He'd crouch in there and hang out. He's finding new spots now that I'm clearing out all of his old hiding spots. Mostly he hides out in the well on that concrete floor. Probably stays pretty cool. Anyway, I've rambled on enough about my lumpy yard and about what we're doing. But yeah, good times. Well, it's burn day. Got my permit. Forestry Service is all up, ready. Says go for it. So I did that. Tried my new propane torch to light things. It does go a little bit easier. I can walk around and kind of get the whole thing ignited, which works out a little bit better. So I'm going to sit here and enjoy a little bit of a campfire. And 10 o'clock my time, I will have men's group. So I'll tune in on that. But so far this one looks like it's burning pretty well. Hopefully it burns clean and clear and is done here in a couple hours instead of my previous ones, which seem to take most of the day. Kind of interesting how you can see the winds here. So up a little ways, it's pretty flat, no winds at the moment. But then as soon as it goes up, it's winds from the south. So it's blowing my smoke pretty much due north. But that's fine. I like it when it goes up over the houses and then out instead of blowing into the neighbors. I can see the wind picking up a little bit more out of the let's see, what would that be? I get all turned around with directions. Does anybody else do that? So that would be blowing from the west. A little bit, but anyway, yeah, good times. It's not super cool when the wind shifts and comes from the south, which, because I'm sitting north of the fire. Yeah. Oh well. Well, it's a little late in the day, Saturday, what, like 5 or 6? I don't know. Does it really matter? Got a couple chores left to do. I'm going to go out and double check the fire. It's been kind of smoldering. I might have to kick it around a little bit just to get some of the logs to finish. Where is it? There it is. To finish burning. But that's about it. I brought my some herbicides, and I've got some stuff over here I wanted to try this on, see if it works. I'll show you that kind of a weird weed for out here. But alright, so what I'm going to try and do is eradicate this stuff they call elephant's foot. They tell me it's kind of invasive. Right now I don't see it as being such a big deal, especially in this part of the lawn. Really not a place that I'm trying to make look super pretty, but yeah, eventually it's going to look like the rest of the lawn here, hopefully. This is where we had torn out a bunch of muscadine and other things. You can see where the gray is. That's what was all overgrown by either muscadine and or palmetto. So I got this magnolia tree I need to move. I'll do that in the winter when the saps run a little slower so it won't be as stressed. This oak is another one that got overrun by muscadine. It's kind of got a haunted, weird kind of craggy look to it. Once it gets reestablished and going again, I'm going to cut off that lower limb so it's not hanging on the ground and get that going. But we got some other gorgeous oaks coming up now that they're cleared out. A lot of Spanish moss on those. These oaks are doing well. They're recovering. This stuff over here I got to talk to the neighbor and see if we can get rid of the muscadine. It's just going to, it basically took over the oak that we had just cleaned all of that stuff out of. Hasn't come back over to this side and rooted, but anything up against that fence is getting it. And then the oaks that we saved from the main muscadine up here in front, those are looking really, really good, getting healthy again. Even the little one is starting to come back. So, pretty happy about that. So I'm going to go ahead and start spraying this elephant foot and see how quickly we can get rid of this stuff. Well, I finished up spraying some of the elephant feet that I found. Ooh, the wind coming up. I gave the burn pile one last stir. There's a pretty good coal pile going there. So that I'll just let burn out tonight. It should be all gone by the morning. And yeah, gotta walk out and get the mail. Haven't been out there today. You know, it's funny, we've got the farm truck and some other cool ways to get around this 300-foot long driveway. But once in a while, I just enjoy walking the property, looking at things, not having to listen to a diesel engine, that kind of thing. Kind of fun. Anyway, that's part of what it is to enjoy the homestead here. But thanks for tuning in. Remember to, trying to get this channel going. But if you could subscribe and like and comment and all that kind of fun stuff, I'd appreciate it. We'll see where this thing goes, see if anybody else has interest in knowing the difference between living in California, living out here in Florida, what that move was like. So take care. God bless. Well, I usually don't try and work on a Sunday, but it was such a slow, mellow day. I actually had some time to sit down and did some reading. And then I started to doze off, and I'm like, I don't want to. If I take a nap in the middle of the day, I don't know about you, but I can't sleep that night. So I'm like, I got to get up and do something. So talked about that hole in the yard earlier. So I went ahead and got some sand. Oh, that was, if you remember, I was grabbing that stuff from over by the fire burn pile and cleared out around this. This was where all that palmetto was that Thor liked to hang out in. I wanted to flatten that out a little bit more and get it a little smoother so I could drive the lawnmower up near the edge of the tree and then not end up on such an angle when I work in this area. So you can see how wide that fill went. So that was a pretty good dip. It's still a dip. It'll be a low spot in the yard, but I think I'd have to bring in and fill it, a whole lot wider in order to be able to get it where it's flat. I got a mosquito that's just kind of buzzing around my mouth, if you're wondering why I'm blowing and doing weird things. But and then in the process, I knew there was a little bit of a fire ant over here when the palmetto was here, and there still is apparently. I guess they like this this pine tree, so I may have some disease issues with this. Fire ants don't normally eat in all that sawdusty looking stuff. That's a poison I put out for them. But these are definitely fire ants. But usually when they're inside of a tree like this, it indicates to me that the tree's not healthy. They typically don't eat wood. But what they will do is if the wood is decayed, they'll carve themselves out a space in that decayed wood and hollow it out. So it's not like they're destroying the tree, but they're just taking advantage of a void that's in the tree, and then they build a nest in it. So not that the ants, I guess, a long story short, not that the ants are going to hurt the tree any more than it already is, but I just don't like fire ants in my yard. So they were pretty mad when I stirred up all around here. They were pretty much just cruising everywhere. So hopefully this poison will take care of them. They'll get cleared out. If you remember, it's similar to the issue I had with that tree over there by the house. Uh, not a cypress, not a juniper. Can't remember the name of those trees. We got so many trees, I forget what their names are all. But anyway, that one pretty much dead center here. This one right there. Not the pine, the one next to it. And that one's hollowed out too. So it had a decay issue. Well, we'll get her all sanded out. Good story is that I got a lot of the sand from over there, hauled it all the way over here, filled in this low spot. Hopefully now my lawnmower won't tip as much. Grass out here, it'll take it a half a season for it to fill in. I suppose I could reseed it. But yeah, we're tearing up the yard so much, I think I'm going to finish or get the holes in the yard filled. And once I get most of them kind of filled and flattened out so that I don't have a whole lot of bumps and stuff, then I'll probably come back and make sure I get things reseeded well. Well, I came out to check on my ants and my tree and such, but we get so much deer through here. So this was just set yesterday while we were playing around. There's at least one set of deer tracks there. Looks like he ran over there also. But put out some of that poison. Came out this morning and kicked the base of this tree where these ants are, and they're still hunkered down in there, so I may have to go grab another dose. They've cleaned out most of what was here around the base. There's another set of deer tracks right around there. Probably same deer. But yeah, I'll come dose them again and see if we can get rid of these. There we go, another dose. So I come to find out it was probably me. I should have thought through it a little bit better, but these are carpenter ants. The carpenter ants out here, though, do not eat live wood. They eat the dead wood. So, not fire ants. Still not a cool guy, but you can see a bunch of larger and smaller ants in that set. Of course, now they're a little more contrast with that lighter tan poison out there for them. But nonetheless, we want to get these guys under control. But as of right now, I'm pretty happy with the way that everything turned out. It's a lot flatter. We're making progress. I don't know. I just can't sit around and not do anything. So even though it is Sunday, had to do something. Got to make some progress on the yard each day, even if it's a small thing like this. Anyway, take care. Good times. And as always, God bless.